I'll never forget the way that red lace bikini dropped into her suitcase. Bold, careless, like she wanted me to see. Her hair was still dripping from the shower, that smug little smile playing on her lips, daring me to open my mouth. But what was left to say? I'd already said it all. Told her how I felt. How insane, disrespectful, reckless it was to go on a trip with her ex-fiancé. Brooke didn't care. Brooke never cared. Not about my feelings. Not about our marriage. Not about respect. She just tossed back. It's Cabo. It's not like we're sharing a room. Oh yeah? Then why were there 2 champagne glasses and a single reservation in her email? Why the sudden obsession with waxing, religiously shaving, hitting yoga 5 times a week, texting with her screen flipped down like a guilty teenager? My name's Tyler. I'm 38 years old. I build custom bikes, fix classic cars, grease under my nails, a simple life, good money. I don't play mind games. I married Brooke because she was wild, beautiful, untamed. I just never realized that came with a subscription to Betrayal. I met her ex once, Chase. Of course it was Chase. A grinning finance bro with linen shirts and boat shoes, flashing teeth too white to be real. When Brooke told me they'd reconnected at a friend's wedding and just talked, I knew. Call it instinct. Call it survival. But deep inside, my soul whispered, she's lying. I kept it cool. At first. That night, she slid into bed beside me, her perfume thick as honey, wrapping around me. She kissed my shoulder, traced my chest like we were still in love, like she wasn't planning her little Mexican escape with another man. I stared at the ceiling, counting cracks, swallowing the storm building inside me. You're quiet, she whispered. You're loud enough for both of us, I said. She didn't get it. She never did. 3 days before she left, I caved. Checked her laptop while she was out getting French tips. Of course, because Chase loved French tips. And there it was. Not even hidden. Titled, Work Retreat. The hotel name clear as day. The suite with a king bed. The champagne package. The boat rental. And the worst? A message from Chase burned into my brain. I still remember how you tasted under the moonlight. Can't wait for round 2. I stared at that line forever. Like if I focused hard enough, I could burn it off the screen. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just went hollow. Like someone cracked my ribs open and scooped out everything inside. I closed the laptop. Went to the garage. I built something. Welded. Drank a beer. Started planning. That night at dinner, she wore red lipstick and laughed like a villain. Every move she made dripped with sugary lies. She chirped about sunscreen and her modest, new swimsuit. I smiled. I nodded. I even offered to drop her at the airport. Because if Brooke wanted her little romantic getaway with her ex-fiancé, she was going to get a goodbye gift too. Not anger. Not violence. Precision. Brooke forgot something crucial. She forgot that the man she married builds custom solutions. And I had one last design for her. What I did next. Let's just say it was poetic. It started the second she blew me a kiss at departures like I was her loyal mutt. I didn't wave. I didn't say a word. Because she was about to learn. When you stab a man like me in the back, he doesn't just bleed. He makes sure you drown in it. At 3:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. One message. From Nate. Bro. It worked. They're in. Chase even tipped me. Dumbass. I stared at the screen, then laughed. A low, hollow sound, dragging itself up after weeks of pretending everything was fine. I met Nate years ago at a car show in Vegas. Now he's a high-end concierge, luxury bookings, personal enhancements, no questions asked. Discreet, loyal, ruthless when needed. And he owed me big. 2 nights before Brooke's trip, I called in that favor. Told him exactly which resort in Cabo. But I didn't want just any suite. I wanted that suite. The exact one Brooke and Chase would waltz into, clueless that it had already been wired for audio and video from 3 angles. Nothing illegal. Just enough to capture the truth. Crystal clear. While she lounged by the pool, playing the doting wife on Instagram stories, I was back home in Texas, watching her trace her lips along her ex-fiancé's jawline, watching her fake resistance, then giggle like a teenager as she slipped out of her sundress. I heard her moan his name, heard her whisper how much she missed the way he made her feel, how she'd never really stopped loving him. I watched it all, no flinching, no hesitation, like a surgeon studying a tumor that needed to be cut out clean. The next morning, when she called to check in, I let the phone ring. I wanted her to feel that silence, to squirm inside it. Her text came next. Hey babe, just landed. Hotel is gorgeous. Can't wait to tell you all about it. You okay? Haven't heard from you. Tyler. By sunset, she called again. I still didn't answer. I was too busy forwarding the footage to a private email and another copy to my divorce lawyer. That was just phase 1. Phase 2 was sweeter. See, Brooke forgot that marrying me meant tying herself to some critical financial decisions, like putting her name on our joint investment account, like linking her credit card to a business I funded, like trusting me never to pull the plug. So I pulled it. Hard. Drained the account. Clean, legal mine. Froze the shared credit. Revoked her access to everything tied to my name. Then I booked myself a cabin in Colorado. No cell signal, just whiskey and peace. That night, Nate texted me one final update. Bro, she just found out about the cards. Screaming at the concierge like a lunatic. Chase bailed. Took an early flight home. I smiled. Brooke always thought she could dance between worlds, lie, charm, and wriggle her way out of anything. Not this time. Not with the evidence safely locked in a cloud folder labeled Brooke's True Vacation. When she stumbled back to Texas, she found the locks changed. A box on the porch with her essentials. Nestled right on top, the red lace bikini, folded neatly next to a flash drive. My phone exploded with voicemails, sobs, apologies, curses, desperate rage. But I didn't feel anger anymore. Only clarity. Because now I saw her for what she truly was. Not just a liar. Not just disloyal. But a con artist in stilettos. A manipulator dressed in perfume and pity. I didn't need revenge. I just needed her gone. And she was. Almost. There was still one final move left. One thing she never saw coming. Something that would flip her whole damn world upside down. 2 days later, she showed up at my shop. Tight jeans, mascara streaked, fake sweetness dripping from every pore. Same look she gave me when she convinced me to co-sign her car. Same act she pulled when she begged me to trust her about Chase. She leaned against the hood of a '67 Mustang I was restoring, arms crossed like she still had any claim to this life. Tyler, we need to talk. I didn't even glance at her. Just wiped the grease off my hands and kept tightening bolts. I made a mistake, okay? Her voice cracked in that careful way she used whenever she wanted to slip under my skin. I didn't mean for it to happen. One thing led to another and... Stop, I said. Calm. Controlled. Stone cold. You meant it. She froze. I saw everything, I said. Heard everything. Every damn thing you whispered to him. Every lie. Every moan. Don't insult me by pretending it just happened. Her mouth opened, ready to spit out some excuse, but the look in my eyes cut her off. I was confused, she whispered. I didn't think you cared anymore. You've been so distant. I slammed the hood shut with a thunderous crack. Heart. You were distant the second he popped back into your life, I said. Don't act like I pushed you away. You leapt. She stepped closer, reaching out. We can fix this. Please. I know I messed up, but I still love you. I do. That word, love, curled in my ears like poison. You love me, I said, laughing, sharp and bitter. You told him you still loved him. Said you missed his hands. Said you thought about him while you were with me. She started crying again, but not for me. For herself. It didn't mean anything, she sobbed, choking on her own guilt. It was a mistake. I walked right past her, unlocked the office door, and pulled out a manila folder. Calm. Final. I placed it in her trembling hands. Inside were the divorce papers. Already signed. You don't make a mistake with plane tickets, Brooke, I said. You don't accidentally pack lingerie. You don't accidentally book a luxury suite. You planned it. You followed through. And now you get to live with it. She stared at the papers like they were written in another language. You're throwing away 6 years? She gasped. You threw them away, I said, staring straight through her. I'm just taking out the trash. She didn't scream, didn't yell, just stood there, hollowed out by the reality sinking in. Then she tried her last card. A hiss, dripping with venom. You really think he wants me? Chase left. Didn't even stay the weekend. You think you won? You're pathetic. You ruined my life. I leaned in, voice low, slicing through her self-pity. No, Brooke. You ruined your life. I just made sure the ending matched the choices you made. She stormed out. The door slammed. And the silence she left behind? It felt like oxygen filling my lungs for the first time in months. I didn't celebrate. Didn't call anyone. Just sat there, staring at my signature on the divorce papers. My hand had signed it. My heart hadn't caught up yet. Later that night, I cracked open a bottle of bourbon and sat on the back porch. The Texas sky bled orange into blue, then melted into stars. I watched it shift, quiet and endless, as memories flooded in. Our wedding, her laugh, the first tiny apartment where we didn't even have a couch, dancing barefoot in the kitchen, the way she used to look at me before it all turned hollow. I wanted to hate her. Fully. Completely. But pain doesn't let you hate that clean. It leaves you hollow instead. Not rage. Not sorrow. Just emptiness. But one thing was clear. I'd never let anyone cut me open like that again. And I wasn't done building yet. There was something in the garage. Something that had been sitting there untouched for months. Waiting. My next move wouldn't be about her. It would be about me. So I buried myself in that garage. For 3 weeks, it was just me, the tools, and the '67 Mustang. The engine purred under my hands like it could feel what I was feeling. Piece by piece, I rebuilt it. New pistons, fresh paint, tightened belts, retuned carburetor. That car had been rotting ever since Brooke started slipping away. Funny how things decay when you stop paying attention. Marriages. Engines. Every morning before sunrise, I poured black coffee, rolled up my sleeves, and got to work. The silence wasn't lonely. It was healing. It gave my mind room to breathe, to mend itself in its own stubborn, quiet way. I didn't answer many calls. Just a few texts here and there. Nate checked in. My sister tried calling. I let it all go to voicemail. I was rebuilding more than steel. Then, a week after the papers finalized, I saw her again. Not in person. On my phone. Instagram. Someone had sent me a story. Bro, you seeing this? At first, I almost ignored it. But curiosity won. There she was, at some trendy lounge downtown, dressed like she was starring in a bad music video. Hair curled, red lips, that same damn bikini top layered under a sheer blouse. Laughing against some guy's shoulder, a guy who wasn't Chase. Wasn't me. Just another one. She clung to him like she needed a warm body to fill the void. His hand sliding down her back like he'd known her for years. Her eyes rolling back with the same hunger I once thought was only meant for me. I watched. Silent. Not because I cared, but because I needed to see it, truly see what she was when nobody was watching. A storm chaser. A mirror. A hollow void, dressed like a dream. And suddenly, I didn't feel a thing. Not jealousy. Not rage. Just a cold kind of confirmation. This was who she was. This was who she'd always been. I shut the phone off. Tossed it onto the couch. Walked back to the garage. The next morning, I took the Mustang out for a test drive. Just me, the wind, and the roar of something I'd brought back to life with my own 2 hands. The highway was wide open, and for the first time in a long time, so was I. The sky stretched out clean and endless. For the first time in what felt like years, I wasn't looking over my shoulder. When I stopped for gas, I caught my reflection in the station window. Older, worn down, but calmer. No more lies waiting for me at home. No more fake hugs. No more pretending everything was fine while my gut twisted with the truth. Back at the shop, I knew what I had to do. Something final. Something that marked the true end. I opened the laptop, logged into the cloud, and deleted the video. Gone. I didn't need proof anymore. Didn't need receipts or revenge or even closure. I had something better. Peace. A few nights later, Nate showed up with a 6-pack. He kicked his boots up on my porch and grinned. Man, you look like someone who just got paroled. I laughed, genuine easy. Feels like it, I said. He took a slow sip, leaned back in his chair. So what now? You gonna start dating again? Go full bachelor mode? I shook my head. Not yet. Maybe not for a long while. I've got rebuilding to do. Of the car, he asked. Of myself, I said. He didn't laugh. Just nodded, like he understood. Brooke texted once more. A long, winding message about regrets. About maybe grabbing coffee to talk. I didn't reply. I didn't even hesitate. Because I already had every answer I needed. And no amount of sweet words or filtered photos could unburn what she torched. A month passed. Then 2. I didn't count the days. I counted the changes. Woke up easier. Slept deeper. Food started tasting like something again. Funny how betrayal strips everything down to the bone. But once the ashes clear, you finally see how much of your life was just smoke. New clients started showing up. Word spread that the guy with the Mustang could fix anything with an engine and a pulse. Classic car collectors rolled in with projects too broken for the average shop, machines that needed resurrection, not repair. I understood that better than anyone now. I poured everything into that work. My hands stayed raw, my back ached, but my mind? Clearer than it had been in years. Brooke's name stopped echoing in my head. Her perfume faded from the house. Her toothbrush was long gone. I changed the sheets, then the furniture, then the locks. A woman named Rachel started dropping by. Coffee deliveries at first, when I was working on her dad's old Thunderbird. Big brown eyes. Sarcastic smile. No ring. She didn't flirt, at least not directly. Just lingered. Asked questions. Laughed at my dumb jokes like she actually meant it. But I didn't chase anything. Not yet. One night, I pulled out an old box. The one Brooke never even knew existed. Letters. Photos. Ticket stubs. Our wedding invitation. A picture of her sleeping in the passenger seat, barefoot, dashboard cluttered with fast food wrappers. Back, when everything still felt real. I sorted through them. One by one. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just remembered. Then I took the whole box outside. Poured a splash of bourbon on it. Lit the match. Watched it curl and blacken in the fire, the crackle and pop sounding like it was whispering something back. Maybe it was saying, "You survived." The next morning, I emailed my lawyer. Told him to scrub Brooke's name off the business license. 5 minutes later, he replied, "Already done." And just like that, the last thread snapped. But then, something happened I didn't expect. Chase called. At first, I thought it was spam and ignored it. But then he left a voicemail. "Tyler, I know I've got no right, man, but I need to talk. About Brooke. It's not what you think. Just give me 5 minutes." I should have deleted it. Blocked him. But my gut twitched. So curiosity won again. I called him back. He answered like he'd been clutching the phone all day. "Thanks," he said, voice lower, more human than I remembered. "I wasn't gonna reach out. But you should know. She told me you were abusive." I blinked. "What?" "Yeah," he said. "Said you screamed at her. Broke stuff. Threatened her. Said she was scared for her life." I sat there, staring into empty space. "She told you that before Cabo?" "Yeah." Said the trip was her escape plan. Said she needed someone she trusted. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. Just sat there, feeling the last pieces fall into place. "She's good," Chase said quietly. "Really good." I believed her, until she started showing her real self again. Controlling, manipulative, the same broken record she probably played for me. "I left after 2 days," Chase said. "Blocked her. I thought you should know." I hung up without another word. And just like that, everything I'd carried, every ounce of guilt, every night spent wondering if I was too cold, too distant, evaporated. She hadn't just betrayed me. She tried to erase me. Tried to rewrite the whole damn story with herself as the victim and me as the villain. That night, I slept like a baby. Because now I knew I wasn't broken. I was free. A week later, I was back under the hood of a '72 Chevelle when Rachel pulled up again. This time, she brought 2 coffees instead of 1. No asking. No hesitation. She just handed it over like it was the most natural thing in the world. "You look less haunted," she said, watching me wipe oil from my hands. "Thanks," I replied, cracking the lid open and taking a sip. Turns out closure tastes a little like bourbon and gasoline. She laughed, a real laugh, warm and rough around the edges. Not flirtatious. Not staged. We didn't talk about Brooke. She didn't ask, and I didn't offer. There was an unspoken agreement between us, one built on respect, not rescue. I like that. The quiet. The lack of performance. Rachel didn't wear a mask. She didn't try to fix me or prod at the scabs I was still healing from. She just showed up, as herself. That night, alone with the hum of the garage and the clink of my tools, I replayed that conversation with Chase. His regret. Her lies. Brooke hadn't just cheated. She'd weaponized my silence. Twisted my loyalty until it looked like something dark and monstrous. Told another man I was abusive, manipulative, dangerous. Sleeping with her ex wasn't enough. She had to burn down the bridge behind her, too. That kind of rot doesn't just grow overnight. It runs deep. I looked around my house, and saw it clearer than ever. Her coat wasn't hanging by the door anymore. Her hair ties weren't wrapped around the faucets like forgotten traps. That damn vanilla candle she loved had finally burned out. And it didn't feel empty. It felt mine. Then something unexpected happened. I got a letter. Handwritten envelope. No return address. Inside, Brooke's handwriting. "Don't throw this away. I just want you to know the truth. All of it." I almost ripped it apart without reading. Almost tossed it straight into the trash where it belonged. But something made me unfold it. I never meant to hurt you, it began. But the truth is, I never knew how to be loved the way you loved me. You were real, steady, and I'm chaos. I crave attention, validation. I lie because the silence terrifies me. I betrayed you because I thought it would make me feel powerful again. It didn't. It made me feel small. I sat down, jaw clenched. I blamed you to Chase because I needed to justify what I was doing. I needed someone to be the villain so I didn't feel like a monster. I'm sorry I made it you. And there it was. Not redemption. Not reconciliation. Just truth. Twisted and late. But real. She ended with a line that stuck with me longer than I cared to admit. I know you'll never forgive me. You shouldn't. But I'll always remember you as the only man who ever loved me without needing anything in return. That was my greatest loss. I folded the letter, slid it back into the envelope, and locked it away in a drawer with my father's old dog tags and the pistol I never needed to draw. It didn't change anything, but it closed the book. The next morning, I took the Mustang out, windows down, engine roaring, the wind cutting clean across my face. When I passed Rachel's cafe, she waved from behind the counter. Without even thinking, I pulled over, walked in, ordered something sweet for once. She slid it across the counter with a curious smile. What's the occasion? I shrugged, decided I'm done rebuilding the past. Time to start something new. She tilted her head, studying me. That's so. Yeah, I said, feeling every word settle into place like steel in my chest. That's so. Weeks turned into months. The sting faded, not all at once, but in slow layers, like dust settling after a storm. Some days, a scent or a sound would yank me backward. Some memory would flash through, but I didn't flinch anymore. I just let it pass. Rachel and I kept talking, real conversations, the kind that built bridges without burning the ones behind them. No games, no performance, just two people with pasts, trying to build something better from the wreckage. And she didn't wear her scars like a badge. She wore them like skin, there, real, but never the whole story. She let it grow her, didn't let it harden her. One night, we sat on my porch under a sky bleeding into twilight, beers in hand, feet kicked up, breathing in the slow comfort of it all. You ever think about what would have happened if Brooke hadn't gone on that trip? Rachel asked. I stared at the stars, their cold flicker steady and silent, before answering. She'd still be lying, I said. I'd still be doubting my gut, still wondering what I did wrong, still trying to fix a woman who wanted to stay broken. Rachel nodded, like she already knew. That's honest, she said. It's the only thing I've got left, I replied. She reached for my hand, not with desperation or expectation, just something steady, something sure. Held it like she'd done it 1,000 times before. I didn't pull away. Not long after that, I got a message from Brooke's sister, Lindsay. We were never close. She always seemed nervous around me, like she was swallowing secrets she wasn't allowed to tell. Her message was short. I just want you to know, I believed you. I always did. I'm sorry for what she put you through. I didn't reply, but somehow, it settled deep in my chest. Maybe closure doesn't crash in all at once. Maybe it drips down in pieces, from places you never thought to look. My business kept growing. Word spread faster than I could keep up with. I hired another mechanic. The shop filled with life. Oil in the air, music rolling from the back room, laughter bouncing off concrete walls. Sometimes I'd pull into the garage, smell the grease, hear the beat of the radio, and catch myself smiling without even thinking. I was back, but different, stronger, less naive, more careful with my giving, and even more careful with what I'd never let anyone take again. One day, while reorganizing my office, I found the old wedding photo. Me, stiff in a black suit. Her, radiant in that lace dress, smiling like she believed her own fairy tale. I held it for a second, then flipped it over. On the back, in Brooke's handwriting, "Forever starts here." I almost laughed. Forever. The word meant nothing now, but I wasn't bitter. I tore the photo in half, not out of anger, but finality. A clean tear. An ending. That night, I invited Rachel over for dinner. I grilled steaks. She brought wine. We sat under string lights strung across the porch, talking, not about the past, but about where we'd go if time and money didn't matter. She said Italy. I said Montana. She raised an eyebrow. Mountains over romance. I grinned. Mountains don't lie. She leaned back, sipping her wine, and smiled. A smile that asked for nothing, promised nothing, just was. For once, I wasn't bracing for betrayal. I wasn't waiting for the floor to cave in. I felt steady, solid, and that was the real revenge. Not the video, not the frozen accounts, not even watching her spiral. The real revenge was becoming untouchable to her, unreachable, a man she couldn't twist anymore. She gave me pain, but I turned it into something she could never steal. Peace, purpose, a clean slate, and maybe, just maybe, something real with someone who saw me for who I was, not just what I could give. A year to the day after Brooke's little vacation with her ex, I stood at the edge of a cliff in Glacier National Park, Montana. The place I once said I'd go when I wanted peace. And damn if it didn't deliver. Miles of pine rolled out like an ocean. The air so pure it felt like it was scrubbing out my lungs. I stood there, alone, no distractions, no noise, just me, wind, sky, and I realized I made it, not just out of the marriage, not just out of the heartbreak, out of the version of myself that accepted less than what I deserved. There was a time I would have begged her to stay, bargained, sacrificed pieces of myself just to make her happy. But now I wouldn't even open the damn door. Brooke taught me a lesson no man ever wants to learn. Love isn't saving someone who doesn't want to be saved. It's knowing when to save yourself. People ask if I regret it. If I regret marrying her, losing those years. I don't. Because those scars taught me to trust my gut, to spot a lie wrapped in a pretty smile, to rebuild something stronger from the ashes. I wouldn't be who I am without walking through that fire. If I hadn't lost everything, I never would have found what really matters. Now, I don't chase. I don't settle. I don't entertain fake love dressed up in grand gestures. I know what I bring to the table. Hell, I built the damn table. And Rachel? She came with me on that Montana trip. Drove half the way. Talked the rest. No drama. No games. Just us. Real. Simple. And she never tried to be the opposite of Brooke. She just tried to be herself. And that made all the difference. She didn't have to be anything else. She was just honest, and that was enough. One night, as the sun bled into the jagged line of the mountains, she asked me, "What would you say to a man going through what you went through?" I watched the fire we'd built crackle and pop, casting long shadows, before answering. "Walk away," I said. "The first time your gut screams something's wrong, walk. Don't explain your worth to someone committed to misunderstanding it. And don't ever confuse chaos for passion. It'll gut you slow and make you think it while it does." Rachel nodded, silent, like she understood in a way words couldn't touch. She reached over, wrapped her fingers around mine, steady, sure. And that was the moment I knew. It wasn't the revenge that healed me, not exposing her lies, not watching her world unravel without me. It was the choice, the brutal, necessary choice, to stop bleeding for someone who wouldn't even hand me a bandage. That's what saved me. And now, I sleep deep. I laugh loud. I live free. My wife wanted to go on a trip with her ex-fiancé against my wish. So I took my karma revenge. But real karma? It isn't about hurting them back. It's about watching them lose access to everything they never deserved, including you.